Good morning, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, I've been a bit busy with one thing and another, and I thought I'd make a video today. The video is about actually conditions that don't lend themselves well to landscape photography, and by that what I mean is it's very windy today and I'm going to go up into the woods, and the woods are a place that wind doesn't work too well for landscape photography. The reason for that is very simple. The trees are going to be moving all over the place, and the various leaves and bits of shrubbery and the low-lying sort of vegetation is all going to be being blown by the wind. Now, ordinarily in a relatively darkish sort of place like a woodland, you can't really get a high enough shutter speed to freeze that action. However, and I've been rather silly, I've actually spent quite a lot of money on a new camera, and it's one that actually I've been waiting for some time. As you all know, I use Sony A7R4, and the A7R4 is a wonderful camera. It's got high resolution, it does an awful lot of things very well, and as I'm not currently a pro photographer, I used to be, so I'm used to using Canon 1DXs and Nikon D1s and various D5s and so on and so forth. I've missed the pure quality of a pro camera and the capabilities. Ordinarily that hasn't affected me too much because most of the stuff I do can actually work perfectly well with pretty much any camera, but I'm a bit of a res freak, so I had the A7R4 when it came out because of the 61 megapixels compared to the 42 of the A7R3 and R2 that I had previously. However, what I've gone and done is I bought this beastie. Now this is a Sony A1. And I don't need 8K video, nope, not interested in that. I don't need some of the features this has got, and I know it's better waterproof than the others, and I'm rarely out in the wet, but what I do need is the ability to go up in ISO to a high ISO and still have high image quality. That's what this does very well. I took possession of it yesterday. I've done a few test shots around the garden in various places, and I've been absolutely blown away by the autofocus speed, which I expected anyway, but landscape doesn't move that fast. However, what I have also been massively blown away with is the ability to go up to, say, ISO 1000 and not lose any detail and not introduce any significant amounts of noise in the image in the shadows. Now that to me means that I can go out today and it's very windy and I can probably have a 300 or 400th of a second shutter speed and still get at ISO 640 or something very, very usable images. So come with me, I'm going to jump in the car, take Ozzy up the hill to the woods again, and slightly different woods this time, different part of the same woods actually, and we're going to give this beastie a run for its money. And the other thing that actually having a high ISO capability means and high shutter speed as a consequence, I'm going to be able to actually hand hold this. I'm not even going to take a tripod, I'm just going to be completely hand holding the camera for all the shots that I take. And that again is a liberation because it's one less piece of kit to have to take with me. And as you might have noticed, I've got one of my 3 Tamron lenses. As those of you who've seen some of the other videos recently will know, I've junked or sold all of my G Master lenses in preference to these Tamron lenses. This is the 28-200. It's absolutely perfect. It really is. If not as sharp, only slightly less sharp than the G Masters, and I did test them quite thoroughly before deciding to sell the G Masters, but it's about, I would say, under half the price of the same equivalent sort of capability G Master lens. So they're lighter. I know they're made out of polycarbonate, I'm not fussed about that. They're well enough made for my needs, and they're also weather sealed. Unlike the G Master lens, there's a little rubber gasket on the front of each or the back of each lens, ensuring that no water can get in. So I'm only taking this one lens. I've got the 17-28, which complements this 28-200, and I've also got the 75-300 because I wanted to go out to 300. But between these 3 lenses, I can cover nearly everything I need. So I didn't need the expense or the weight of the G Master lenses. So come with me, let's go up the hill and let's see what we come back with. treating you there to a bit of Chris Rea. It's always good driving music, a bit of Chris Rea and Dancing the Night Away. One of my favourite artists, amongst many. So we're on our way to Oldbury Hill, which is about 4 miles away, and it's nice and quiet. There's no one around. It's nice and early in the morning. I know the clocks have just gone back, or forward. It's April, so they've gone forward on March. And I just wanted to talk about my reasons for going with the A1, more than just the ones I've given you already. It's a lot of money. It's a long time since I've spent £6,500 on a camera body, but at the end of the day, it delivers. It absolutely delivers. It will do pretty much anything that I want from it. And one of the areas of photography that I've been a bit lax in doing recently is in taking portraits of my animals, my dogs and various cats and things, which I don't have cats at the moment, but I have had in the past. And it's nice to pick up a piece of equipment that just does exactly what it says on the label. You point it at something and it instantly recognises an animal's eye and it just tracks it and it doesn't lose it. Equally, if I track it on a moving subject of any sort, car, motorbike, anything, aeroplane, although they're further away, they're not moving as fast relative to the camera, it just follows it, and that sort of predictability and reliability is not quite priceless, but it makes a big difference, the enjoyment of photography for me, to be able to pick up a piece of equipment that does just what I want it to do, and I can guarantee it will do it almost 99% of the time. So anyway, we're on our way. We'll get there probably in about 5 minutes time. It's a nice, quiet, peaceful Sunday morning. The weather conditions are not ideal. It's completely overcast. There's some low cloud scudding across the sky quite quickly because there's probably about a 30-40 mile an hour wind blowing above ground level. So that's going to make all the trees move quite a bit and all of the vegetation move quite a bit. And that to me is a set of conditions that would be difficult to get decent images without motion showing in them, which I don't particularly want any other way than having a high shutter speed. So from many respects, today's an ideal day to actually be testing this new camera in its landscape capabilities. So let's get there, let's go and get set up and see what sort of shots I can get. Well, we're here, Oldbury Hill. I don't know if you can pick up on the microphone, the wind. I'll try and show you it, but it is really quite windy. Hopefully the wind noise isn't interfering with the quality of the audio. I'll spin you around and you can see the wind's definitely moving everything around us here. So, as you can see, these leaves are being blown, which would mean taking any form of photograph of those other than video is going to be showing motion. And if I spin you round to here, this holly bush, fair bit of motion going on there. The wind's just subsided now as I started talking to you. Which is always the way of it. It's like anything you do, if you tell people you're going to do it, it doesn't happen. But it is certainly quite windy and we're quite sheltered here because we're low down, but as I go further up the hill, I think we'll find the wind will get a bit more. So I'll push on up to the top of the hill and I'll be out of breath by the time I get to the top. But very much as I said in the intro part to this video, all I've got is the camera. I haven't even got a shoulder strap or anything to hold it. No tripod, and the vlogging little Osmo Pocket, or 2, whatever it is called, which I'm vlogging on. And as you can see around, it's a grey day, which is good from a lighting point of view. There aren't any harsh shadows, so that in many ways is quite handy. And as often happens in woodland photography, you rarely have the sky in the picture. Very few people introduce sky in the picture because they tend to feel that the bright areas at the top of the picture, caused by including the sky, detract from the image itself. I can see that to a point. I don't completely agree with it, but That's some people's opinion. So as I'm getting increasingly out of breath, I'll turn you off and get to the top of the hill and see what we can get up there. Well, at the top of the hill now, and definitely it's windier up here, you might be able to hear that. It's certainly a bit breezier. So today, as I've said, I'm going to use this Sony A1, and unlike most landscape photographers, today I'm going to do something very different. I'll spin you around and explain why. As you can see on the top of the camera, I've got it set to shutter speed priority, and I've set the shutter speed to 1/500th of a second to minimise the effect of motion blur in the picture from items moving. I've got it set to auto ISO, and with the widest aperture on this lens at the moment, that's giving me 3200 ISO, which you can probably just about see there. So that means I'm at an ISO range. Yes, that means I'm at an ISO range that very few landscape photographers would ever take a picture at. But I'm actually going to do that so that we can see how good this beast really is for landscape work when there is, well, are adverse conditions in terms of a lot of motion going on in the picture. So let's see how we get on. All these leaves blowing around in a little whirlwind in front of me. I don't know if you can see that just in front of this brown muddy section. It really is quite windy, and those leaves are being blown about, so I think that proves the point that it really is quite windy up here, which is a nice thing to see. Right, so let's find a shot. Okay, so for my first shot I've chosen something that definitely is moving quite a lot. And the thing that I've chosen that's moving quite a lot is this holly here in the foreground. And what I'm going to do is frame up a shot a little bit like that, with the trunk in the background out of focus. And I've got 1/500th of a second. I'm going to wind the aperture down to about f7 so that it throws the background into focus. You can see that branch there's waving around quite a lot. I'm actually going to take that shot. It's silent, this camera, and there's only the slightest visual indication it's taken the picture. But if I replay that, you can see that, as you saw, was moving quite a lot. That image now is pretty sharp indeed. So I can't do I can't do the vlogging at the same time as taking the picture single-handedly handheld. That's asking a little bit too much of it. So I'm going to take that shot properly now. So just bear with me. Well, I do hope the wind noise isn't interfering with the audio quality too much. It is really quite blustery up here. I've just been playing with the high-speed shooting mode on its lowest setting, which takes about 6 or 7 frames a second. And I've been throwing a stick for Ozzy to go and chase, and as he's come running back, the ability of the eye autofocus to lock onto his eye is absolutely uncanny. I'll put a couple of pictures up, but I've only just chimped at them so far, and they look stunning. They really do. And that, as I was saying on the way over here, is partly one of the reasons that I bought this camera, because it gives me the ability to do that. The A7R4 wouldn't stand a cat in hell's chance of catching a dog's eye in focus when it's running towards you, and he's doing about 25 miles an hour, and yet it's having no trouble following him. So, very pleased so far, very pleased. But as you can hear, the wind is winding a lot. There's a few folks around dog walking, but I've just spotted this, and I'll spin you around and show you it if I can. I wish I had brought the other handle, because this spin round button doubles as a recenter button if you press it twice, and pressing it 3 times fast enough isn't as simple as it would seem. As you can see here, in front, there's a series of trees. There's quite a lot of erosion here with people walking up these steps, which are just visible here, which has obviously removed or loosened a lot of the soil. It's blown away or washed away over the last few months. But there's a nice little vignette here of these trees coming up, and then slowly into the distance more trees with this tangle of roots down here at the bottom. And I'm going to try and get that shot, and I'll put it up in a moment if I manage to get it. There isn't much movement in this shot. Obviously the trees are not going to be moving much nearer the ground level. It's up at the top. If you look up there, you can see there's a lot of motion in the tops of the trees, but because I'm going to frame this one up relatively low, the ability to capture and stop the motion isn't of paramount importance, but I'll get it, and I think it's quite a nice little shot if I can frame it well enough. So let me get that and then I'll put it up. There is one other advantage I've found with this camera. The Sony PlayMemories app, which sits on my iPhone and my computer, the iPhone version of it allows you to control the camera remotely via Wi-Fi. With the A7R4 and its other predecessors, I found that it was sluggish and sometimes it would break up. And more importantly, one facility which I really wanted, and lots of people on the Sony forums have called for, the ability to touch the screen on your phone and have that as the point that it's focusing on and focused to, wasn't there. And I could never understand why, and lots of people complained about it. It transpires, the version that runs with this does everything and more. You can actually do, it's very responsive, it's pretty much instantaneous. Any movements of the camera is instantly reflected on the phone screen. And also you can move the focus point around and take the shots using the application, which again it's just a little thing, but it's a big thing in some other respects, because I quite like using my phone to take the shots. If I've got the camera on a tripod low down, I don't want to be kneeling down trying to squint at the little screen. With my poor eyesight, it's not perfect anyway. So having the ability to stand up, frame the shot using one hand, hold the camera or phone with the other, and get the focus points where you want and focus stack. Again, it's a simple thing, but it's just so nice that it works. Anyway, I'm ranting on, sorry. I'm trying to sell you all A1 cameras and probably put you all into the bankruptcy courts. Anyway, sorry about that. I'll get on with another shot now. I'm really very, very impressed with this camera. I really am. It's just doing everything I want it to do. I see a shot, and in this case, sometimes it's the dog because he's bounding around like a nitwit. But I see a shot and it's off. So I flick it to on, and it's pretty damned instant. It's focusing the moment I've got the thing turned on. It's already doing it. It's just phenomenal in that respect. I know it costs a lot of money, but it's a case of if you don't pay for something, you don't get it, really. And there's so much capability here that I'm going to find it hard to actually even come close to using as much as this camera's got, but I'm certainly enjoying it, that's for sure. So I finished taking a few shots, and by now you'll have seen 2 or 3 of them, and I'll put some more up at the end. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. The visitor numbers or subscriber numbers slowly creeping up. Maybe one day I might breach the 1,000 mark, I don't know. Quite a few YouTubers seem to be falling by the waysides at the moment, and I must admit I've almost been tempted to sort of drop it myself, because there's a lot of effort goes into making these videos. It's not just a few seconds or 10 minutes that or 15 minutes that you watch that I've edited together. It's somewhere in the region of 2 to 3 hours on site. Travelling isn't much at the moment because I'm not going any distance at all, but normally if I'm going much further, then there's travelling and possibly staying in hotels or accommodation to factor into it. And then there's the time it takes to put the videos together and pull the music together and edit it, publish it, and then wait for all of the comments to come in, or the very few in my case. So yes, I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue doing this. As I alluded to earlier, I've got quite a major full-time job at the moment that's taking a lot of time up, working with the NHS, and that obviously, given the current medical condition of the country, is taking quite a lot of time up of mine. So we shall see where we go from here, but hopefully this video will come out a bit later today. I've certainly got about 6 or 7 which I've shot, and I just haven't edited together, partly again due to time, but let's see how it goes. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and click the notification icon and the bell and you'll be able to be notified when I upload new videos.